Welcome to Movie Recap. In today's video, we'll be going through the 2017 sci-fi romance movie Orbiter 9. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. Helena is a beautiful young woman who has traveled alone in space for the last 3 years. 3 years ago, the oxygen regeneration system broke down. Oxygen remaining within the space station was only enough to support 3 people for 3 years. Helena's parents had sent out a distress signal. They still needed to travel nearly 23 years to reach the destination, so they decided to commit suicide to save oxygen so that their daughter Helena could survive. Since then, Helena has lived alone on the station. She was born here and has never seen anyone else except for her parents. Every day, apart from eating, sleeping, and exercising, she can only kill the boring time by watching videos of her parents and some movie reviews from YouTube channels. In order to keep healthy, she uses some medical equipment to do periodic health checks on the station. On the day of her 20th birthday, the rescue finally arrives. With the door opening, Helena sees the first stranger in her life, a maintenance engineer named Alex. She is very nervous and happy to see the male Alex as he takes off his hormone-smelly helmet. However, Alex seems very calm and even a little cold to her. Alex briefly introduces himself, then goes straight to the main cabin to repair the system. Helena follows him tightly and invites him to stay for dinner, but actually for hormones. However, Alex is not interested, until Helena tells him that he is the first and only living man she has met in 20 years. During dinner, Helena tries to chat with Alex, but Alex doesn't like that she is a colonist. Helena and her parents are actually the colonists who are heading to another habitable planet, which is a 40-year-long journey. Though Helena knows nothing about it, she can't change the fact that she is a colonist. Helena doesn't think her situation is a privilege. She hasn't been able to go anywhere since her birth, and she has to go through all this alone in a tiny space. Half of her life is going to be wasted on the journey without hormone. If she could choose, she would never want a life like this. Hearing this, Alex feels a bit sorry for her. At night, Helena can't resist her boiling hormones and goes to Alex's room, begging him to show her some hormone mercy, for she will probably not meet any man in another 20 years. Alex doesn't push her away this time and generously bestows on her the first, fantastic but fast, hormone game. 2 minutes later, Alex tries to leave secretly while Helena is sleeping. Helena wakes up and follows him, expressing her sadness. She knows perfectly that Alex can't stay for long, so the still hormone-thirsty Helena has to watch him leave the cabin in anguish. Alex walks out of the cabin and enters a strange elevator. Surprisingly, as the elevator stops, Alex takes off his spacesuit and walks into a wooded area. Alex puts his belongings into a truck parked at the roadside and leaves in a hurry. It turns out that the so-called space journey is just a lie. With the deterioration of the Earth's environment, Alex's company comes up with such a project. They have found a habitable place, which is Helena's destination, but that planet is very far away. To predict potential problems, they decide to experiment on humans. They have chosen 10 humans and observed them in 10 orbiter simulators over a long period of time. Helena is one of them, and she is from Orbiter 9. Different from others, Helena was born in the simulator. She may spend her whole life there. Alex returns to the company and has a conversation with his boss, who tells him that the departure is 20 to 30 years away. But Alex doesn't seem very excited about it because he has some hormone feelings towards Helena now. His boss can tell Alex is wavering. He continues to tell Alex that they are working for the future of 8 billion people. By comparison, those 10 people in the simulators are trivial. He then warns Alex to focus on his job. On Alex's way home, the radio in the car reports that the climate is getting worse. When he gets home, he processes the newly collected data. In the meantime, Helena is missing Alex. As time goes on, Alex's affection for Helena is growing. Alex's friend, who is also a doctor, can tell Alex is worried about something. He tells Alex that his health test results are fine, but there is radiation in his body. For his health, he shouldn't have entered the simulator nor enter it again. When Alex is drinking alone at home during the night, his robot pet starts projecting a video on the wall. It was Helena talking to the robot about how much she liked Alex. She recorded this in Orbiter 9 while Alex wasn't there. The next morning, Alex goes to work in Orbiter 10. When he returns, he can't help but stop at the gate of Orbiter 9, but he leaves after stopping for a while. At night, Alex comes to a psychological clinic to meet a therapist. He tells her about his confusion. As a scientist, he shouldn't have feelings towards the experiment subjects, but he feels sorry for Helena and other subjects who live their whole life in a lie. They are just like human guinea pigs. The therapist is in shock hearing that. Alex returns home, but he can't stop thinking about Helena. While the therapist stays up the whole night long thinking about what Alex told her, one day Alex finally makes up his mind and goes to Orbiter 9 secretly. Helena is surprised to see Alex in his casual clothes. Alex reveals the truth to Helena and tries to take her out of Orbiter 9. However, Helena doesn't believe his smelly man shit and refuses to go. Alex then takes the biofeeds out of Helena's body. The alarm on the station starts immediately. When Alex puts the biofeeds into a machine he prepared, the alarm then goes off. Helena finally trusts Alex and leaves the simulator with him. She would have never thought she's been living such a big lie. Helena lies down in a box in the back of his car and escapes the research compound safely. When they reach a safe place, Alex lets Helena out and tells her about the project and the experiment. Helena can't believe her parents are a part of it. Right now, she wants to see her parents, but Alex thinks it's not safe to do so. It is better she does not let anyone know she has left the orbiter. Later, they return to Alex's apartment and sleep on the same bed, which is like a dream for Helena. The next morning, when she wakes up, Alex has gone to work. When Alex finishes work, he goes to meet his therapist and tells her he has saved Helena. The therapist thinks it is risky, but she supports Alex's decision. Before Alex leaves, the therapist tells him that she has an apartment that nobody knows about. If there is an emergency, he can call her for help. Later on, Alex takes Helena to an aquarium because she's been dreaming about seeing the sea, but Earth's sea has been polluted by acid. If left alone, all marine life will die out. Watching the fish in the aquarium, Helena has a great time. She's curious about everything. The next morning, Helena finds his office. From the monitor in the office, she is aware that nobody knows of her disappearance. That is because Alex records her data and transmits it back to the simulator. She wonders why people would accept to be in the simulators in 20 years' time. Alex tells her that the simulator will inform them there is an error in the navigation after they getting in, and the journey will be extended indefinitely, so that the company can study their vital signs. All scientists only see the positive side of emigrating to another planet, but ignore the lives of the 10 people in the simulators. At night, Alex takes Helena to a party in a club. Alex introduces Helena as a childhood friend to his friends and states that they met each other at the company. The doctor finds that there is something weird about Helena. Somehow, they start to talk about the emigrating project, which the doctor doesn't approve of. He thinks it's irresponsible to leave Earth after destroying it and let their kids spend half of their life on the journey. People should try their best to save Earth rather than abandon it. The other two girls say they will give up the chance to emigrate. Now Helena realizes not everyone supports the project. Her 20 years spent alone in the simulator is totally for nothing. The next day, Helena finds a bruise on her back when she is taking a shower, so Alex takes Helena to the doctor for a health check. When they are back home, Helena enters Alex's office again out of curiosity. This time, she finds the data of the 10 simulators and figures out the real reason why people don't care about the subjects. These 10 people are all clones, including Helena herself. Helena is astonished to notice the truth. Later, using the address on the documents, Helena goes to find her birth parents. In the meantime, Alex's boss is presenting updates to representatives from all countries, trying to persuade them to agree to the emigration project. Helena arrives at her parents' house before night falls. They are surprised to see Helena. They explain to Helena that she is a clone of their late daughter. Even though they tell her she is special and unique, Helena is still upset because they left her to be a test subject in a lab. The father excuses himself to make a coffee. When he returns, he handcuffs Helena and informs the company that Helena is there. The mother is not as cold towards Helena, so she knocks the husband out and releases the poor cloned daughter. Though Helena is a clone, the mother cares for her. She gives Helena a hug and asks her to run before she is found. On the other side, Alex can't find Helena at home. When he sees the scattered documents, he realizes Helena must have gone to her parents, but shortly after, Helena comes back and challenges Alex why he lied to her. Alex said he is sorry, but he doesn't regret it. Because Helena has exposed herself, they have to run away immediately. Alex's boss receives an order from higher authorities to catch Alex and Helena at any cost. Alex has left his apartment with Helena and contacted the therapist, who agrees to give him the key to her apartment when she finishes work. Right then, Alex notices that Helena's bruise is getting worse. Alex's boss gets to Alex's home with his men and can't find either of them, but he finds the therapist's name card. So he goes to the therapist's office where Alex and Helena happen to be. The therapist asks them to stay behind the screen and don't move. The boss threatens to kill the therapist if they don't come out. One man shoots the therapist in the head and scares Helena a lot, which gives them away. After they expose themselves, they run to the rooftop, chased by the boss's men. Knowing they cannot escape from their pursuers, Helena decides to sacrifice herself. She tricks Alex into jumping across a rooftop first, but she doesn't follow and is therefore captured by the coming hatchet men. Alex escapes and finds the doctor in a bar who has been beaten up. The doctor tells Alex that Helena's condition is not good. She can't adapt to the environment outside of the simulator. Maybe the simulator is the safest place for her, but the analytics chain is broken when she escaped from the simulator, which means that Helena is useless as an experiment subject to the company. As a result, the company has disconnected Orbiter 9, and they are not willing to fund her to go back there. Helena can't live in the outside world, but the boss can only arrange euthanasia for her. Alex rushes to the company headquarters in his truck. The boss runs out and stops his men from shooting Alex. At this critical moment, Alex tells the boss that Helena is pregnant. The company can get valuable insights by observing Helena. Alex is willing to live in Orbiter 9 with Helena and to be their lab rats, on one condition that the boss must allow their kid to leave Earth when the project is launched. Some years later, the gate of Orbiter 9 finally opens. A young girl walks out and stands in front of the boss, who is an old man now. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.